Hello, I'm Master at Arms James Keating. Thanks for listening. Today, we've got some things that I would like to talk about that have been kind of on my mind for some time, and I go far and wide in some of the things I talk about. I understand that. Sometimes people ask me a question, and sometimes I just think about something and say, well, I think I should talk about this. Something that a lot of people are enduring and going through and not liking right now is suffering. Because of the lockdowns, because of illness, the loss of loved ones, and things that have happened in our life, loss of our jobs, a lot of people are really suffering right now. And this is no joke. It's no laughing matter. Suffering, and it's taking a toll psychologically, physically, on our health, our stress. Stress, you know, I was just watching, I think it was Dr. Phil the other day, a brief passing on the television about how he was saying stress brings about the dreaded C word, cancer. And I do understand this. And we have to see that suffering is something the boomer generation and most Americans, most people in the Western countries have not suffered since World War II or before that. We've led a high quality of life. We get what we want when we want it. We don't suffer. If we suffer, it's something like, oh, they canceled my favorite TV show, I'm suffering. This is just a spoiled individual. This is not suffering. What we have to look at is to understand suffering is the true way of the world. I asked one of the elders once, why suffering? Well, before modern medicine, when the world was as the world is still in many places, suffering is part of it. You suffer a lot. The few times that when there is festivities and good things, you have a good time, but mostly it is hard work. It is grim tomorrows, death of loved ones, short lifespans, severities that you have to bear up under whether you like it or not. So many times people today, I don't want to do that. The world does not give a goddamn what you want. This is about the way it is. This is the good Zen part of this is how it is, not how you want it to be. We'd all want roses and milk and honey and yada yada, but the world isn't like this. In fact, the world is largely poisons, fangs, scales, and armor, not roses and milk and honey. So the more that you get that in your head and understand that, the better you'll fare on this very harsh planet, this third rock from the sun. Suffering is taught by many disciplines. And it is I know it is taught in Systema. I know that it is taught in Karate. I know that it is taught in many of the Native American customs. To where you become something else. You have a mindset that is beyond the physical. And you're now using something that's metaphysical, beyond the physical. You see it in some of the Sanchin testing, to where you take punishment, you suffer. Because you're going to be struck, you're going to be hit. If all you practice is hitting things, if all you practice is beating things up, what comes the day when you're the thing that's beat up? Have you practiced being beaten up lately? Because you know you should. If a punch to the face, if a slap to the forehead, if a whack across the ribs causes you to be disoriented and distraction, you need to suffer a little bit so that that shit goes away. You need to become familiar with suffering. The House of the Stone People, the Inipi, this is about suffering. You learn to suffer, the heat, etc. But yet this is also the house of growth where you gain spiritual gifts, guidance. But you do learn to suffer. And you are not going to leave just because you wish to leave. You will stay in there until that round of songs is over. Suffering is often taught as a ritual thing so that you can survive the harsh aspects of life, real life, that it brings. Much of Asia, much of South America, many places on earth still live in the old way, where men carry a machete every day. They work in the fields. There are no clean water. There are no electricity. They live primitively. Living in this advanced way that we do is a blessing. And as has been said many times in the fear-mongering bullshit of the internet, what if an EMP hits? Well, no electricity. Your well won't work. The gasoline pumps won't work. You're going to suffer. You will panic at the thought of suffering. Like in the Inipi, I can't breathe. Let me out. They tell you lay down on the floor then. You're not getting out. I need to get out. You're not getting out. Suffer. That's what you're here for. And through that suffering, you'll get enlightenment. You know, how many times have we seen these zealots of various religions? Christians do it. Islamic, Muslim do it. Flagellation, self-flagellation. They suffer, they cut the shit out of themselves, beat themselves with chains or blades, bleed all over. Somehow some form of enlightenment comes through. Whipping. People think the whipping is some kind of kinky bullshit. No. After a while you go numb. And enlightenment. Quats, bang. Act stupid, I'll hit you again. Act stupid again, I'll hit you again. Bang, pain, suffering. You can't hit me, I won't stand for it. Then you will never learn about suffering. Because at the first sign of suffering, you protest, you call your attorney, you call a policeman. Weak. You think that you don't have to suffer. You're too good for it. Let the others. And when suffering comes, when it comes knocking on your door, and it will, you will have no means to cope with it. You will have no idea what to do other than roll in your own cess and whine, oh, woe is me. What the hell do I do now? Right, because you've never suffered like this in your entire life. So if you make suffering part of your education, your warrior quest, if not stupidity, not self-abuse, but the study of suffering as a discipline to make you stronger, to make you able to face the harshness, the harsh vicissitudes of life, you will be better. You will be ahead of the pack that steers away from suffering. Oh, God, no, I don't want that. Bring me another yogurt bar. Put them Birkenstocks on my feet. Let me just be as comfortable as a pig in mud. Because I deserve it. Well, you know, in my book, when suffering comes, you deserve that too. Because you've done nothing but wallow in all this wonderful laziness that civilization provides you. And as Robert E. Howard said, civilization is unnatural, and barbarism will ultimately triumph. And I see that. And that's why civilization is slowly eroding away, and suffering is rising every day in people's hearts. And instead of embracing it, they reject it. Hagakure, the Book of Fallen Leaves, says, embrace your disease. Do not fear it. And by embracing it, that individual went to war and fought a full battle, came back healthy, and then beat the disease. It was a miracle according to them. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then reread the Book of Fallen Leaves again. Don't question me, question your own ignorance. I gave you the book, I gave you the passage, find it. Suffer. I'm Jim Keating.